Leah Shutkever is an ex-competing bodybuilder and is wholly dedicated to fitness. But unexpectedly, she's also the UK's #1 female competitive eater. She found her talent in consuming large amounts of food at an incredible speed and has been smashing world records one after the other ever since. Leah takes on awe-inspiring challenges and wolfs down more food in one sitting than would seem humanly possible. Whilst working as an architect, Leah decided to take the leap and started sharing her journey online and has since racked up hundreds of thousands of fans, all supporting her on her competitive eating journey. We had to ask her onto the podcast because, well, who wouldn't want to know how she got to where she is today? Hi and welcome back to Fuck the Norm. This week we have an amazing guest. It's a lady that I've met many moons ago and has gone on to do very strange things, and weird and wonderful journey along the way has come of that. So I would like to introduce Leah Shutkever, and can you tell us about what you are, who you are, and what you do?
What I am, I don't think I can explain what that is. Hi, my name is Leah Shutkever and I'm the UK's #1 female competitive eater. I think I'm encroaching on Europe's #1 female competitive eater now. I'm a multi-Guinness World Record title holder, and I'm a professional competitive eater. So that is what I am in a nutshell.
Amazing. And for those people who don't know, because I have physically seen you do this, what is competitive eating?
Competitive eating, and especially professional competitive eating, is when you get paid to eat food, essentially, and it's not on sort of a very normal basis. It is a sort of circus freak kind of level. You can do something that normal people can't do, and people enjoy watching you eat either lots of stuff or eat something really fast. And certain judgments are made, and then those judgments are kind of blown over and everyone's happy at the end of the day. So competitive eating is essentially that you get paid to eat food, and that is why.
Okay, who are the people that watch this? Like, what are they getting out of this? Why would they want to see someone do this?
Oh God, what a good question. People love watching people eat food for many reasons. No, honestly, I think the #1 reason is because eating food is very intimate. So when you meet your parents or your family, you eat together. It's a very intimate, family, close thing. So some people that live in very remote areas get their fill from watching people eat. It almost feels as if they're there with them, as well as it satisfies a level of cravings. So I get a lot of people that are on diets or certain calorie restrictions. When they watch somebody eat a huge amount of something that they're craving, it satisfies the craving. It's almost like they're eating with you. So I think there's many ties into it, but then there's a whole demographic of people that just love the fascination of seeing somebody small eat a lot. Now, I'm not saying by any means that I'm small. Like, I'm a sizable female. I would say that I probably am bigger than people think that I am online. I'm probably like the quintessential IG versus reality girl. Like, what you think you're going to get isn't quite what you get. So in that sense and in that respect, people just see this chick, kind of foreign, weird looking, and then all the food, and they're like, nah, she's not going to be able to do that, no way. And then the ego comes into it. So they're watching intently, like, what's she going to do? How far is she going to get? Am I going to be impressed? Am I going to be able to eat more than her? And then, it just becomes a bit of a competition. So even with your audience, you do get those really like egocentric people that are like, I can eat more than her. They watch the video and they're like, I can't eat more than you.
I have to own up and say I'm one of those people, because I messaged you so many times saying, I want to challenge you to eat a burger eating competition, and you're always like, you're going to lose. But do you know what? I think the reason why I watched some of your videos is because I'm just amazed. I'm amazed at the amount of food and the speed you can put that food away. Like, it is actually shocking.
It's shocking. It shocks me equally, because I will see a challenge and I'll be like, yeah, that's a lot of food. And all that is something that I really don't enjoy eating. So I do often doubt myself in that respect. And I think, oh dear, I'm probably going to get done here. But I am super competitive, and that is just part and parcel of what I do. You have to be competitive. You've got to want the win more than you care about what the food is.
Yeah.
So it really, like, you just block everything out, sight, smell, everything, and you just go for it. And I would say that really good competitive eaters are able to separate food being a source of fuel and food being a source of enjoyment, because oftentimes you are like towing the line there, like you just don't want to eat anymore, but you have to. And so yeah, I think people see it, get really competitive with it, think they definitely can do it, and it adds to the fascination again of watching competitive eaters eat.
And you mentioned there's a few Guinness World Records, so give us a rundown of some of the interesting things that you've achieved.
Oh geez. So I hold currently 7 official Guinness World Records titles. I am waiting on one, which I did last weekend. So I think we got it, but I'm not going to mention it in case we haven't. So you're going to have to catch up with that on Instagram. But I hold the fastest time to eat a Terry's chocolate orange, which is 65 seconds. And everybody thinks they can beat it. But what I say is try. You have to start the timer. After the timer started, then you open the box. It is not from it unwrapped. Like, you do have to unwrap whilst the timer's going. Have a go. You're allowed to have water with it. It's like, it's a fun one that people quickly find is not as easy as it seems. I did the fastest time to eat a burrito. I did that twice. I beat my own record for Guinness. Guinness asked me to come back and beat my own record, which I didn't think it was possible. But my first one was 42 seconds and my second one was 35 seconds. So really good, like...
Just on that, is it like a standard size burrito that you have to...
Large burrito.
It's large.
It's a large burrito with everything inside. You have to have rice, you have to have meat, you have to have all of everything that they offer in a standard burrito. And then the rules with that is it comes half unwrapped, and you can either choose for it all to be unwrapped or obviously left in the wrapper, and then they just put the timer on and you just go for it. And as soon as you're finished, you open your mouth, and at that point, that's when the timer stops. There's a lot that goes into like the Guinness World Record titles. That's why it often seems so much easier than it is.
Okay.
One, fastest time to eat 3 pickled eggs. I did that in 7.8 seconds, and also discovered on that one that I can swallow eggs whole. I didn't know I could do this, and it literally was just because I did one and I bit it and it went down, and I went to put the other one in and it just went down, and I was like, oh, okay then. So then I ended up reattempting it, and the first time I did it I got 12 seconds and I had to beat 22 seconds, so already half the time. And then I did it again in 7.8. So yeah, very happy about that.
Are you getting sent like things through the post saying you're a record holder of this, a record holder? Do you get like a thing, like a certificate?
Yeah, I've got one here if you want to have a look. 1 second.
Just curious as to what comes through. What comes through when you, because it's obviously like timed and it's official.
Yeah, so you get one of these. And this literally came in from my most recent one, which is the fastest time, no, the most donuts eaten in 3 minutes. But the thing is with this is I did 10 right. I had some time left over at the end, but I did 10 donuts. Between each donut, you have to open your mouth to show that it's empty before you can move on to the next one. So you've got to make sure that your mouth is completely empty. Show it to camera, clear mouth, move on to the next one. And also, these donuts are jam donuts dipped in sugar, and you're not allowed to lick your lips.
Okay.
So the first 2 attempts of this, I licked my lips. I had to stop the attempt and start again. So you have to really, like, there's too much thinking involved, and I'm not good at the thinking and the eating at the same time. Like, that's just not how I roll. So you get this through a letter to say that your official certificate, and then this is the certificate which basically states where, when, and how, and what you did, and tells you that you are officially amazing, which I'm a fan of.
I find it so interesting because
it's fascinating.
Are you going somewhere? Like, are you going somewhere to do this, or you just do it and like they give you the foundations what you have to run it on?
So it's complex. It can be really complex. I've been really fortunate because my first 3 records were for TV. So my first ever record, I didn't even know that I wanted to do world records until they suggested that I do it for their program. And I was like, you know what, if you're going to be like doing all the admin work for it, like 100%, let's do it. So that was a Terry's Chocolate Orange, broke that record, and it just gave me this, like, this, for lack of a better phrase, hunger to do some more. And I just really, like, I just craved it then. I craved that level, that feeling again. So after that, then Channel 4 got in touch and they were like, we're doing this program. What do you want to do? Like, we're open to suggestions. And I said, well, if you're willing to do the admin for this world records, I'm quite happy to do this and this and this, and sent them some options, and they chose the ones that worked for the show. But generally speaking, you apply online, it's all pretty straightforward, the process and everything is all literally laid out in this contract. They get back to you and confirm, and then when they've confirmed it, they'll give you a set of guidelines. So my recommendation is never to attempt a challenge until you've received the guidelines, because like a record that I did in September, it was the fastest time to eat a muffin with no hands. You literally could not take the muffin out of the wrapper. It had to stay in it, and you had to have both hands behind your back. But if you just read the title, it was like fastest time to eat a muffin.
Yeah,
and
it sounds
like,
easy.
what does that mean? Like, yeah. So it's better to get the guidelines, follow them to the T. And oftentimes it's, you need a main camera, you need a second angle, you need somebody taking photos the whole way through. It has to be in a public place. You have to, when you have a multiple of something to eat, you have to show your mouth empty between each one. Oftentimes you're not allowed to have any kind of water or liquid to help you get it down. So with the donuts, there was no liquid allowed. So you literally had to like eat them dry. Another reason why it was so tough. You need a slow-mo camera on you, a slow-mo angle, and then you need to fill out a cover letter from yourself as the participant, and you need 2 witness statements and 2 people doing the timekeeping that's gonna confirm what the time was at the end, and why it is that they're relevant for that role. Like, are they a PT, or do they manage sports teams, or there's a lot of like loose ends, yeah, things to sort of make sure before you go like submitting evidence.
And right, okay. I mean, it still blows my mind hearing about it, because even I know you do it, and I'm like, I didn't realize just how much effort was involved. So I guess now you're getting. First, before I carry on, is there like a place where they put all your accolades? So is like, are you on a website somewhere for Guinness World Book?
Yeah, so on the Guinness World Record website, they've just got a big catalogue of records.
Yeah.
And on those records, they will say you wanted to do a speed challenge, you would put fastest time to eat in the search bar, then all of the challenges associated with fastest time eating something will come up. So if I hold the record, my name will be on there. So it will be like fastest time to eat a muffin with no hands. Current record is this, set by Leah Shutkever, set this date and this place. So Birmingham in this year, whatever. So that's where people can sort of find what I do. But what Guinness have also done is they've got like a museum of memorabilia from all the records that have been sort of created. And they've asked me to give them mementos from each record. So actually today I put a box together of t-shirts and like tops I was wearing when I did the challenge, and a jar of something, and they were just like, yeah, sign it all, give it all to us, and we'll display it. And I'm like, that's so cool.
That is cool.
Imagine being immortalized for just being greedy. Just imagine it.
I'm guessing you can go and see this museum at some point.
I need to go. Like, I need to document this whole process, because it is, like you said, like, it's so fascinating. It's like a new world for me too. Yeah. And Guinness are like awesome people. As soon as they see how keen you are to sort of make history, as it were, with them, they're so on board, and they're like, they will help if they need to, more evidence to help you push like a a record forward or whatever, but they are really, really cool people and really fun to work with as well. But yeah, a lot of time and effort goes into it. I think they appreciate that.
And
Sure.
you got involved in this just because it looked fun and it looked like enjoyable.
I got involved with this because a producer said to me, don't you think it'd be cool to have a world record? And I was like, nah, I'm not really bothered, to be honest.
What about the actual food? Just eating the food in general. Like, when did you? What point did you go? I'm going to start doing this.
So, in 2013, I was prepping for a bikini show. Now, I got into bodybuilding when I was like 20, 21. My ex-boyfriend was a bodybuilder. I was quite a skinny girl at this point. I'd lost a load of weight from school. Loads of weight. On my gap year, I actually lost loads of weight. And that was just like, you eat less food, you move more, you work more jobs, and you lose weight. So that is essentially what put two and two together, lost a load of weight, but I had no muscle mass. Like, I felt like I had nothing, kind of, no like lean mass. And I was just, I guess, at this point, just a skinny girl. So like, I didn't have much shape to me at all. Obviously natural shape, yes, but I don't, but like, you know, like lean mass shape, like that lean toned look. And I used to watch bikini girls. I used to watch the NPC bikini girls and just absolutely like idolize their physiques. And so I just started bodybuilding, and 2 years down the line, I was kind of one of the only chicks in a gym lifting weights, to the point that men used to look at me like, what the hell are you doing? I swear, it was just not socially like there yet. Before Instagram, before like anything came into the fold, I used to do this thing that you didn't see many girls doing. And so it was recommended a lot that I do a bikini show, that I compete and that I get on stage and that I show off all my hard work and whatever else. And I thought, you know what, as a goal, because I'm a competitive person, as a goal, let's do this 16-week prep. Let's diet. I'm good at dieting. I kind of just put something together and I just follow it because it's easy and get on with it, you know? And during this time, near like the last 10 weeks of my diet, my brother would go to a local restaurant and attempt this food challenge, and every single time fail. Every time he'd come home and he'd be like, yeah, so I failed. Even a couple of times he'd come home and be like, I did it. I was like, did you? Sick. And he was like, no, actually, I was lying. I lied. Like, I had this much left, but I failed. And so like, I banded him about it because one of his mates had actually completed it. And I'm like, I can't believe that your mate managed to do it and you've let the family down. And he's like, well, you know what? You come and show them how it's done. And basically the long and short of it is, after my bikini show, I felt a little bit lost. And I was like, well, I guess it's time to like start like enjoying going out and eating again and like living a normal 21-year-old person's life. In fact, no, 23-year-old person's life. And I went to this restaurant. They recognized me off Facebook because I was tagged in this challenge so many times. And they were like, are you going to do it? And I said, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. So I sat down, I did it. I set a record. Management were flawed. The waiter was flawed. Everyone was like, this is amazing. And I was like, oh, so it turns out I'm really good at eating. So I just kind of kept it on the DL because I was really shy and I didn't like pictures taken or anything. So I just didn't tell anyone. But word spread like wildfire. And I just became that girl that did that challenge that time. And I just, you know, like when people recognized me, like it was cool. And they were like, are you going to do any more challenges? And they would like tag me in different challenges. And I would go and do them very seldomly, you know, around bodybuilding and my life. And then I just built up a bit of a reputation like in restaurants, and people would just like talk and be like, I had this really fun conversation with the owner of this place and he said that he'd met you and blah, blah, blah. And eventually this is really bizarre actually, I was working as an interior designer at the time, but I was at work and my boss got a phone call from a TV company and they asked her to speak to me. And they asked me to come to London and do the qualifier for the World Championship eating competition. Basically, that's what it was. They called my office to talk to me about this challenge. Now, I had no idea about the competitive eating, the professional competitive eating realm no idea. I was just some chick who did the odd challenge in a restaurant, and then it kind of evolved into this thing. So I went to London, they paid for the trip and everything like that. Went to London, actually won the qualifier. And I was like, oh, damn, like, I'm good at this. Like, this is something that I'm really good at. It's because I can displace myself from what I'm doing and just focus on whatever it is that the task is. And I ended up flying to New York, competed at the World Championship, did pretty well, but we obviously didn't win because the UK had no comparison to the US or Japan. And we flew back, and we felt a little bit of like, felt a little bit down, like Team GB felt like really deflated. And so they asked us to come back a second year. And after the second year, I was told to set up a YouTube channel. And they were like, you should definitely start a YouTube channel. You would do so well. People would love like watching you and seeing this all happening. And I was like, let's try it. Let's see. But yeah, that's how it all started. So it all started from like, I had no idea. And then now I know.
You say that a lot of that was just you going, yeah, go on then. Yeah, sure. Because it sounds like you're just going, so an opportunity has arisen, you've arisen, and you've gone, yeah, why not?
I would describe myself as opportunistic for sure. Like, I would say that a lot of my success has come from my open-mindedness. I've never been too stubborn to try something. And when I try something, I will literally put all of myself into that thing. And if it doesn't work out, I put it down to the fact that it's not for me, and I will move on. Like, I just move on. It's like line drawn. But I definitely try. I definitely like put a lot of effort into the stuff that I do.
And where, obviously, you said they recommend you start a YouTube channel. Now, I already know this answer, but that's doing very well right now. So where's that racked up to so far in terms of subscribers?
We are just over 186,000 subscribers.
Amazing.
Which is mad.
Isn't that mad? That's like, mad. How many stadiums full of people that watch you eat food?
It's mad. It's mad. I don't think that every single person that subscribed to my channel watch every video. This is the most frustrating thing about YouTube. And it seems that YouTube kind of chooses who they push. So your channel doesn't always get those amounts of views, but to have that many people commit to you as much as you've committed to you is really nice. It's like, it doesn't cost them anything, obviously, and all of that. But I know what I'm like about following people and subscribing to people. I've got to really like them. I've got to really want to see what they're about and what they're doing. So it's very flattering. It's very.
I think it's a big deal, because it's one thing watching someone's content. It's another thing actually going, you know what, I'm going to keep an eye on this and see where it goes.
Oh, for sure. Like, I think my audience has given me the confidence that I've got, because I didn't have the level of confidence going into this whole social media world and realm. And God, anybody that knows me well knows that I was like, I'm just so, the inside of me is so shy. But I'm realizing slower and slower that I'm far more of a harsh critic on myself than anyone has been toward me. And actually the response is quite positive. A lot of the time, like, I don't really get many like negative things. I remember when I first started my channel, there were a lot of comments on my like outward appearance, but those have sort of dissipated and gone away now that I've stuck it out for the long haul. And, you know, now the people that watch are the people that are like in it with me.
I think there's a lesson in there. I think there's a lesson in the fact that you're going to have people who critics and mock you, and then they quickly shut their mouths when you start to achieve a level of success in whatever you're doing that they could never achieve themselves.
What I've also noticed is that there's a lot of people that will say things because they dehumanize you. So they dehumanize you in a way and will comment on your appearance, what you're doing, or whatever you consider your talent or your skill. And then when you respond to them in a very level, very human way, they change their tone completely, because suddenly you become a human. You're not just this person on a screen or on a TV or whatever. And they're like, okay, well, this was my action. This is what I decided to say to this person, and it's been received in a very level way, and maybe I respect that. So on one hand, pick your battles with people on social media, because trolls are real, and they just want a back and forth. They want that attention. They want a reaction. And oftentimes it's just easier to just block and delete, move on, just move on from it. Don't take it in. And then on the other hand, there are some people that are just a bit misguided. And I feel like in order to get the attention that they've wanted in the past, acting negatively has got that for them. And then to respond in a positive way toward that is still giving them the attention they want, except it's taken the course from a very negative point of view to a very positive one, where you've kind of connected with a person on the point, but literally if someone's being crass and disgusting, like block, delete.
Those people interest me, and I think at some point we're probably going to see a lot of like psychology people looking at them and figuring out why they do what they do. But what sort of lives do you think those people lead? The ones that, you know, troll and have fake accounts and they go around spreading misery.
It's really tough, really, really tough. I feel like I don't want to feel sorry for anyone that's willing to be negative to another human being, irrespective of what it is they do. There's this big air of they ask for it because they're in the public eye, which I disagree with massively and completely. Just because you're in the public eye, it doesn't mean that you should get hate. It doesn't mean that people should be mean towards you or whatever. And my view about it is, if you don't like it, don't look, don't watch, keep moving, you know? Don't subscribe, don't follow, just move. But from my point of view, these people, their lives, to me, it would probably be very like secular, very like a very lonely life. It would have to be to want to create such a negative reaction. You would have to, well, one, be very low on your own self-efficacy. And then on a second fold is just want some sort of attention. And of 1,500 comments that are all positive, what is the creator going to notice? The one negative one. And so they will get the reaction they want, either from you or from your dedicated following. So people like to sort of blame it all on jealousy. I don't think that it's all jealousy. I think that it's all just attention seeking. And it is just a bit of, I want some human interaction. And I think the fact that they just make you more of an object, and they take your humanity away from you, it makes it okay for them, and it makes it feel like it's justified. And they also justify the fact, well, she's on YouTube, she asks to be criticized in this way, she was looking like this or eating like that, which would suggest this, you know. So it's perception, levels of attention, and possibly very like lonely lives in the outback, somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I don't know.
I find it interesting hearing other people's thoughts. Like I've got my own views and things, but you know, I've always seen it as jealousy. But you're right, actually. It might just be a level of, look at me, please give me attention, because I just don't have it in my life. And it's just interesting because you're literally just having fun. Like, it's a fun topic. It's not like other people are going, oh, why couldn't I be a competitive eater? I've always wanted to be, because they might not have even considered it before. So there's no reason to be jealous over that. So they're literally just doing it for the sake of doing it. And it, like you said, it could just be down to the fact that no one's giving attention.
I really thought that I was going to get the hate from the vegans. I really thought that vegans were going to come for me. But they've actually been really supportive. Not even with like a 96 ounce steak have I had like the hate. I think that it's nothing to do with like, if you're a positive person, irrespective of your views, you're not going to like be like outwardly nasty, mean, rude, controversial towards somebody who's definitely not asking for it. I think that you do have to have a level of like sadness or loneliness or negativity in your own life, and it's a learned behavior. You know, if people have always been negative toward you, you will only ever be negative towards other people. So that's maybe all they ever know. So that's where I see it from a very sympathetic point of view. And I'm like, look, I'm not this person, and I'm not going to like hit you back in a negative way. If that's how you feel, it's absolutely fine. But the easiest way about this is for you not to watch my content. And obviously they're not going to stop watching, but the option is there for them if it bothers them that badly.
And this is like the longest intro ever. We've gone way past intro now. We're into
we're like into the body of the conversation.
I was going to say though, in terms of your sort of brands reaching out to you, so what sort of businesses are coming to you now and saying, because it's a weird situation, because they're going, we're going to get together. They have to create a competition, or they have to create something that you can take part in and that's worth you getting involved in. Because how do you decide? You know what? I've got so many questions here. How do you decide who to work with? Who reaches out to you? What sort of countries? All these questions.
So it's a range for sure. At the moment, I'm getting a lot of independent restaurants get in touch with me, and I think it's because of COVID just had a massive effect on small businesses, and I think they want to set up collaborations because of my platform to sort of launch them back into we're open. So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense for restaurants to make up a challenge, or for bakeries to send out a load of stuff and then I make a challenge at home with it. But in saying that, it's not kind of a free service, so I don't really work on the basis that it's promo for me, because it's more I'm creating the promo for the outlet. On the flip side of that, I get a lot of fitness companies get in touch, because obviously I'm so massively into fitness, where it's just embedded, it's part of my life, that they want like to send me clothes or to send me like protein bars, and I'm like, okay, cool, like I'm happy to put it on social media. Yeah, like I'm happy to put it on social media. A lot of times I turn things like that down. Ambassadorships, sponsorships, I don't want any of that stuff. Like if it's a let's work together thing, I'm more than happy to do that, but I'm very selective as to who I'm associated with, because my brand is so niche. So I'm kind of trying to like create something new, like this fitness foodie mix, but on a very competitive level, like a very pro eater level. Like you can have both, but do both really, really well, like at a high sort of standard.
And obviously, a lot of people might listen to this, but for those that are watching can see. But if they're listening, like you're not big. You're not like your typical what you'd expect a competitive eater to look like. You literally look like a fitness model.
Oh God, I wouldn't go that far. I think.
Well, but I mean, that comes from the bodybuilding aspect, because I've known you as a bodybuilder.
Yeah. I definitely don't think that I look like what people perceive or what people assume a competitive eater looks like. But if you are in the realm of like competitive eating and pro competitive eating, you know that really great competitive eaters work out. They just do. And unfortunately, our judgments have been skewed by the way the mentality around competitive eating used to be, and less towards it now. Plus it like all originated like in the States, but if you look at the competitive eaters in Japan, they are tiny people. They are tiny people. They're not like these big Zuma wrestlers. They are tiny. They're smaller than me, but they're very focused. They're very disciplined. They know they've got to work out. They know when they've got to eat and when they're not allowed to eat. Like you do have to have a level of understanding of calories in versus calories out, and how to level out at the end of the week. And there are going to be really miserable days where you're not eating as much and you're it's not often that I'm hungry. Like this is something I need to clear up. People are like, how do you fast? I don't miss food on days where I'm not eating. I don't feel that hunger. But bear in mind, if I do a food challenge, I've done this big refeed. And so that is kind of the famine and feast thing that cavemen used to do. They would find a gazelle, eat the gazelle, go days without eating, find something else, kill that, eat that, and they would fit, healthy, you know, and they kept moving, they kept alive, and that is why we're here now. But that is how my sort of life works. I try not to focus too much about what I can't control. So focus on calorie consumption and things like that. And obviously a background in bodybuilding has obviously helped me maintain a physique. My weird eating abilities is part inherent, because if you met my dad, oh my God, like he's definitely the Gannet who I learned all this stuff from. Like he is ridiculous. And I've given him a couple of like speed eating challenges, and he's a really good speed eater. Like, it's mad, but I think we just built in the same way. Not that I look like Super Mario, but that's exactly what he's like.
Do you look like Super Mario?
He's like super Italian looking guy.
Red dungarees and a red cap?
All the time, every day. Almost like he only has that in his wardrobe. But yeah, my dad is a Gannet. So I think it's part inherent ability, part like competitive, focus, discipline, that type of person. And obviously, if you maintain a healthy fitness lifestyle, your body will utilize calories in a really positive way. So I would highly recommend anybody who wants to get their body right is get your nutrition right first, then start training properly, start lifting some heavy weights, and then focus on like refeeds. I mean, when you're 6 months down the line, you start plateauing, refeeds, cheat meals, and you're off.
How often do you train now then in the gym?
Well, since COVID, nothing. Nightmare. Like, it has turned my life upside down. I've started cycling. Like, I'm not a massive fan of cardio.
I'm hiding my arms because I don't know about, obviously I don't know about you, but for me, all I know is my arms turned like spaghetti, so I got really skinny arms, and then I started getting a fat belly because even though I was lifting weights, I was burning calories. So now I'm not burning those calories, so I'm trying to run, but I look like, I don't know, I guess what a bag of potatoes would look like if you were taking it like that. That's what I look like running down the street.
I think it's funny because for me, like, my body is pretty good. Like, it just, I wouldn't say that I have a fast metabolism. I gain and lose weight respectively. And depending on my week, my body kind of adapts to what I've done that week. If I have a low calorie week, but I'm training, then my body will reflect that. If I have like over the first month of lockdown, I had all my family at home and I had my boyfriend there as well. And we just ate and ate and ate and ate. And that is all we did. I was cooking 3-course meals. I was baking like several times per week. And it was just all the time. And we didn't train, we didn't have a gym, but we thought, you know what, it's a really good opportunity for us all to have a rest from training because we never normally do. But then coming to the second month, I'm like, okay, no, this is not okay. Like, my body is starting to show that it's not happy. It's having a tantrum. Like, my abs disappeared, felt a little bit bloated, looked bloated, was definitely holding water. So I upped my water intake and I started cycling so that I was getting my cardio in, getting my steps in, and drinking loads of water, because I always live by that. Like, don't just hold water weight for no reason. Like, flush that all out. Make sure that it is fat that you're talking about. And then since, I think, into like the third month, which is like where we're at now, I'm like, okay, I need like a solid plan going into when the gyms open back up. Back on mobility, back on training, back on like doing basic, very basic body weight movements, getting myself back in that basic level of fitness, ready to go back into the gym, because I don't want to go in cold. I want to go in like ready, mobility's on point and things like that, so that I can start lifting weights straight away. But aside from that, on a normal week, in a normal year, not 2020, I would normally go to a gym 5-6 days a week. I probably would go 7, but there's always one day where I have to just sit and do admin. Otherwise, like, I will not keep on top of running a business. So yeah, probably 5-6 days a week. But again, for me, it's more like it's just part of my routine. It's not necessarily an effort. It doesn't feel like it anymore.
I guess it's interesting for anyone who is interested in fitness, because I remember getting up 5 days a week at the gym and I was feeling like I was doing a good job, but it was hard to fit it in. Like, it was so difficult. And I think that a lot of people struggle just to go full stop because they can't find time. And that's, I mean, I always say you can find time, but it's difficult. So how do you manage to find time to train and do all this other stuff?
So I used to, if I think about back when I started, I really was at uni. So it was like, I was laughing, like the gym was just a bit of fun outside of uni work, because uni was really stressful for me. So it was a nice escape, and it was a really nice time to sort of start, because it was, I had so much frustration that it was such a great outlet to sort of let out all of this like pent up sort of frustration with myself and with work and clear my head and everything else. When I got into a full-time job, I was in a really stressful position. I was a design manager, and I just, again, it was more of an outlet. It was something that I did. When I started seeing real results from nailing my nutrition and nailing training, I started training more. So I would go to the gym before work, and that was my goal. It was like I would get up 4:30, 5 a.m., go to the gym, get my session done, go to work. When I'm at work, my energies were up, my appetite was like stable, and I felt really good, to the point where I started going to the gym before and after work. So when I noticed that when I trained before and after work, I missed traffic, so I wasn't wasting an hour of my time there and back to work. And I was feeling far more energetic. I felt like I had like a healthier way of managing my appetite. It was almost like I'd earned the calories. So it didn't feel like it was, I don't know how to explain it. It was almost like I didn't begrudge eating, because I knew that I earned it, my body needs it, and it felt good to eat. So for me, then when everything sort of fitted together, I was like, this is awesome. But then when you overtrain, you are more susceptible to injury, you're more susceptible to other things like overtraining, and then you start getting a lack of sleep. It can cause all sorts of things like sleep issues. I've been through it all pretty much. And then the catalyst for me was I had a slip disc at the end of 2018. And that for me was like my sign. It was like, right, you need to take a massive step back because you are overdoing everything. And bear in mind that the reason why I was training so hard was to be able to balance a normal diet, I say normal diet, like a bodybuilding diet through the week, and a cheat meal or a challenge on a weekend. So I was actually putting calories on top of my maintenance calories, which means that if I didn't train that much, I would gain weight. So it's actually overdoing everything. So then after my slip disc, I was like, right, regroup. Let's find what's going to work now for us. We need to train less, which means we're outputting less calories. And so in terms of my input calories, I need to start adjusting my calories in the week. So I started intermittent fasting. That I just, not anything ratioed, not anything like crazy and calculated. I just said, right, if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat. But if I'm hungry, I'm going to have like a meal. And I prep my meals, and I eat healthy anyway, so it's not really an issue. And I just started like playing on what my body wanted. Like if it wanted to eat, then great, let's eat. If I wasn't hungry, then I just leave it. You know, it's not going to hurt me specifically, because I would overeat on days where I do a challenge. So if I have a day not eating, I've saved those calories, and it's not going to affect me. A normal person, I don't recommend it, but for me personally, it doesn't really, it's neither here nor there. And then I found that my body actually improved, and that my body fat came down, and my energy levels went up, and my recovery rate went up. So I was like, okay, well, this is it for me. So this is what I need to do. I need to train less hard. No, I need to train less but more efficiently, and train smart. And that I need to eat to my body's requirement outside of challenges, not necessarily to what I would have needed to put on size. So it kind of all fitted together, but it took a very long time. And my recommendation is to get to my end point really early on, because it takes a long time otherwise.
The interesting thing here is you've been learning all this. Where the hell have you got this information from?
Learn. I'm really fortunate that when I did start training, when I started lifting weights, I was the only chick. So like all the like guys wanted to help me and like guide me and like teach me things. And a lot of friends that I made at that time were PTs and things like that. Not many girls, like none at all almost. But they were just like a great source of information. And this was before the time of Instagram, and you could just, you know, So I had a lot of friends that kind of pointed me in the right directions and were like, read this, sent me sources, sent me articles, sent me websites. Bodybuilding.com was like a massive thing for me. I used to read articles. I would learn about supplements. I would learn about what's going to help me and what's not. And that's pretty much how I learned the basics. And everything after the basics, I've learned myself, because everybody's body's different. Everybody's body was raised in a different way and reacts in a different way. And you have to do whatever works for you. So for me, it's just like a lot of trial, error, trial, error, trial, error, and then eventually improvement, and found whatever it is that worked.
I find it interesting because in my mind, you have been successful in fitness, and now you're going on to be successful in something completely different. And both areas and both arenas are things that you don't learn about in school. You don't get told about by parents. Your friends and family and even colleagues don't generally talk about it.
Yeah.
Especially with competitive eating, because that's not even on anyone's radar usually. So you've had to learn and pick things up as you went along. And I'm just wondering if you think that that's attributed to, I mean, that passion for learning, that hunger to succeed has attributed to where you are at the moment.
I think that I've always had that sort of attitude. I've always been open to opportunity. And if I had an opportunity or I became particularly fascinated by something, I'm going to do all of the research. Like, I'm going to find out exactly the information of how to put that thing together. And this could be as simple as, if I want to decorate a room and I want to learn to paint, I will go and learn how a professional will paint a wall, and I will do it the exact same way, and I'll do it and do it and do it until I get it perfect. That is just my attitude. And I think I've always been very open, like I've mentioned before. Like, I've always just had this very open, accepting thing. So like, I accept winning and failures in the same respect, and take from both equally almost. I kind of take more from my failures than I do my winnings. I don't, people see me as successful, but I don't really see myself as successful, because I kind of gauge success on a much different level than I think normal people do. I don't think that being in the public eye necessarily is success. I think that kind of reaching your end goal is success. No, I'm not there yet. So, really, yeah, I think it's interesting that what you said is interesting, because it's not something that I considered before, but I just see it as it's been such a long process. And loving to learn is one thing, but I don't know, I guess my life has taken so many like different turns, and I've just ended up here, and I'm just embracing it. And for whatever happens from this point onwards, I know that I did everything that I could to make my name in something that I was good at, you know? So I think it's definitely not something that you ever learn about, but it's something that people are very receptive to. So
I like that you said that the success, you don't see yourself as successful, but I do. And other people I've spoken to, and I was on a podcast just before this chatting to someone else, and the same question came up for me. That's why I asked you. And I was like, well, I'm not yet, but I will be one day, because I'm going for this. But the lady I was speaking to said, well, no, because we see you as this. And I'm thinking, isn't it weird? Because you said it, you hit on it before when you said you don't see yourself that way, but others do. You're so focused on where you're going that other people are watching what you're doing, but you don't see that yet. And I find it so strange. And you're not the only one. I think a lot of people have said that so far.
I think that especially with social media, you can only ever take what you see with a grain of salt. And if you see yourself in that sense, it's a really weird kind of way to look at it. But if you look from an outsider looking in, yes, maybe my highlight reel on social media does look successful, because I am like setting a goal, reaching it, but those goals are they're just progressive goals. They're not the end goal. They're not the big goal, the big objective. So I don't, okay. So another reason why this probably happens is because people that are deemed successful don't advertise what they're doing. Like, they don't advertise the big picture. They will just start like small and like set your goals and set your, like the time frames. And you're like, boom, smash this, boom, smash this, boom, smash this. But people didn't see the work behind the scenes, the admin for like Guinness World Records. They don't see the training, like the things associated to achieving that goal. And all they see is, bam, she smashed it again and smashed it again. I think that's what they see. But my end goal, like I don't, it's not that I don't want to be held accountable for what it is that I want to achieve. It's that I want everything to be a surprise. And even for me, I want it to just be like a big unveiling, like we made it. And when we made it, when I feel like we've made it, I'm probably going to do like a massive post like we made it.
But, I mean, will you ever do that post, or will you get there and go, right, what's next?
Knowing me, I'm going to have like another big shopping list of things that I need to do before I've made it. But
I don't know. I think a common theme is that it's not the getting to where you're going, it's the actual consistent moving of goalposts. And because think about it, if you look back now to where you were when you was working at the architects, and you look forward to where you are now, if you look forward at yourself, you go, wow, look at what I'm doing. But now you're there, you're going, right, look where I'm trying to go.
It kind of makes it a bit sweet that that's not my life anymore, because I genuinely wasn't, like, I loved my job. I loved working like as a part one architect, and I loved also working as an interior designer. Like, it was something that I was really passionate about, and I took a lot of pride in what I did, but I almost felt like I was never quite good enough. And even in competitive eating, like, I'm still not quite good enough. And every time that I do something, it feels like I'm one step closer to like feeling that I am. But the realities are there's always going to be somebody else slightly better and slightly more ahead and slightly quicker and slightly like more appealing to people. And there's a level of struggle there for me. But if I was to look back to where I was versus where I am now, I'm certainly far more fulfilled. I'm far less stressed in terms of whatever I take on is for me, and I'm not working for somebody else. Even though it is a very like cushy lifestyle working for somebody where they kind of do the hard stuff with running a business and keeping it up, and you're just a cog in the machine. And to me, that's ideal because I'm a tourist and I like comfort. But when I look at my life now and I'm like, I can dictate the hours that I work. I'm working way more hours than I've ever worked for anybody else in my entire life, but it's all for me. It's my baby. It's my hours. It's my schedule. It's like, I want to do all this stuff and I want to be proactive. And it's all for me. So it feels so sweet. Whereas back then it was like, God, I would not work 60 hours a week, you know, like for nothing, you know, but you do it when it's for you. You do it.
And I think it's interesting because although you're very much, you've definitely fucked the norm here, like you're doing well off piece, like we said at the beginning, but
yeah,
your journey wasn't, it was more normal, I guess, because you went, we've, like I said, we've gone around like that, but I'm thinking go back to school. So looking ahead, you were thinking go to university, go college, uni, and you wanted to be an interior designer back then, or what was the plan?
No, oh God. So back onto the point of me being opportunistic, like this is exactly how it went. I was at school and my teachers told me that I was overqualified for what I wanted to do because I wanted to be a police officer. So I was looking like up and up. I ended up going to college, studying psychology, sociology and ethics, and photography, because I was always really into art and photography. And I had to drop out of college because I broke my ankle playing rugby. This is another aspect of my life that people don't know about. I was a hefty girl. I loved rugby. I still love rugby. I used to play. I broke my ankle. It ruined my career. I couldn't go to county trials. And so my life got tipped on its head and I was like just forced to recover. So I recovered from a broken ankle and I went to an open day at another college, and a friend of mine was going. I was just going with her. And then I ended up talking to a tutor who was doing business studies, and she was like, look, why don't you look at coming to my course and being in business studies? So I ended up doing a BTEC in business, right? This is not the way that I thought I was ever going to get like into education. And I ended up like getting like full marks. So at the end of the year, I got maximum UCAS points and pretty much the pick of whatever university I wanted to go to. But what do I do at university with a really good qualification in business? So I was like meeting with a load of people. I went and had meetings with building surveyors that were female. And I was like, they're so cool. They're in a male dominated industry. Like, I can do this. They'll want me because I'm just, they were really after like women of color and like that kind of thing. So I thought, you know what, this would be a great industry to go into. I love buildings, I love architecture. I wanted to always do something creative. Maybe building surveying would be like the way to go. Met with them, and they ended up being quantity surveyors, so it was more maths. I went to university to study quantity surveying. They bundled building surveying, quantity surveying, and architecture all together for the first year. And after the first year, my architecture tutor for that section was like, you should really consider studying architecture. And I was like, really, why? And he was like, well, your drawing's good and this and that. And he said, I've seen a few things in you that I feel like you've got loads of potential for it. So I ended up transferring after my first year. So I dropped out of QA, a QS, sorry, and moved into architecture as a full course. So I started from scratch again. At this point, I'm 21 years old. I am fully into like starting my bodybuilding thing, and I started university, and it was just 3 years of my mind being absolutely blown. It was just blown. Like from the start to finish, I was like, what the hell, like get me off this ride right now. It was beyond my everything. But fortunately enough, because I was always able to really talk for myself, and I was always very opinionated and always very creative, and I had a very like level view about things, always very pragmatic. When I got to the end of that course, the head of school offered me a job and was like, I've got my own practice. We do architecture and interior design. I would really like for you to come and intern. And it was a paid job, and it was a week after I'd graduated, and I was like, yeah, done, let's go. Offered me the job straight off the bat, and I just went in and started working. And then I was offered a job at an interior design place, and at that interior design place I worked there for almost 4 years. And pretty much I was always doing this food challengey thing, like kind of on the side, but it was never something serious. And in 2018, we have really gone like that, haven't we?
That's where you got the call, right?
Yeah. In 2018, I decided that I wasn't getting my progression that I wanted from that job, even though I loved my job and I loved my bosses and I loved who I worked for and I thought it was very fulfilling. I wasn't getting any kind of progress. I wasn't feeling like I was going anywhere with it. And I didn't want to wake up one day and go, God, I wish I'd done this and that. So I thought, I'm going to find a job for like a bigger company that's going to offer me more opportunities to sort of grow. And that's what I did. And I ended up moving to this awesome big company, thinking that's exactly what I wanted to do, and realizing very quickly that it wasn't. And it was just not working. Then I had a slip disc. That is the point where I had that massive injury. I had sacroiliac dysfunction and a slipped L5 at the same time. So I was on diazepam, like I was in so much pain. And all people can tell you is just take the painkillers and just wait it out for about 3 to 6 months and you'll be fine. And it's like, that blows my mind that the advice is to just chill. Yeah. Like I can't just chill, you know, like I've got a career. So I ended up being called to a cafe with my bosses, bearing in mind, like I was not in a fit state to either drive or walk. I ended up going and they were like, look, this isn't working out. And I'm like, yep, great. Got the laptop on the phone in my car, set it all to function mode. Now you can have it back and that's it. And they were like, oh my God, did you know that we were going to have this conversation with you? And I'm like, look, I completely, like, I get it. I'm in no fit state to like, we didn't really see eye to eye, and I wasn't given the support that I needed in the first sort of 8 weeks of working for a company. So long story short, they kind of gave me like the freedom that I needed. I needed them to do it because I was trying to find a job when, like, at the time that this was all unfolding. Mm-hmm. So when they said, you're free to go, thank you very much, goodbye, I was like, oh, thank God I don't have to go to work and look for a job because it's so tough. Mm-hmm. So that was it. I left there and I ended up working freelance, because I was working freelance anyway. I was doing like different jobs on the side and things like that. I was always like a high level output type of person, like always finding different things to do on the side. And at the time, I had maybe 3 clients, but they're 3 very good repeat customers. And I would just start doing marketing, branding, like design work, create logos, design clothing. And I built like a nice little business. And I was like, okay, well, this might really work for me. Like, this might be a really good outlet. And then at the time, my YouTube was just going, and I just thought, you know what? Let's put all of this effort into that. And I went from, at that point, 30,000 subscribers, and in 1 year it's jumped to almost 200,000. So I went from barely earning enough money to survive, which meant I needed both of them, to completely sacking off the freelance design work, and it just took off with the other stuff. So it was part like me taking chances, part circumstance, part just picking myself up and keep moving. And I've always had this thing in my head where I'm like, no matter what happens, I will always be okay, because I just recover. I just get up and I just carry on, whatever it may be.
I think it's inspiring hearing that, because a lot of people right now, including myself, obviously just lost their jobs. And then I thought, I don't know if you felt the same way when you lost your job. So that same thing happened to me, except I got a call when I was on a bloody Zoom call, and I knew it was the call, because just before that I was already talking about what if I lose my job, and I had a feeling. So anyway, I did the same thing, drove to meet the guy, gave him factory reset laptop, and I was like, he was like, oh, it's a shame it didn't work out. I went, it's a shame because a guy just came to me and asked me to personally work on his, like, I was just sort of saying, like, you just gave up too soon. There was a guy just rings me up and asks me about marketing stuff, and you gave up. Anyway, long story short, I'm sat here now thinking, I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills this month. I don't know what's going to happen. And I thought my entire life I would be scared at this point. I don't know if you felt the same, because when you lost your job, you don't know when you're going to get the next paycheck. And you were freelancing. There's a lot of parallels between me and you, by the way, which is even weirder. But the freelance thing. So I'm looking at freelance now and just doing my own thing for a while, because I've got quite a lot of things like that. But I'm not scared. And I feel like it needed that push off the edge, because I've always had a job, right? So I've never not had a job.
Yeah.
And I just think, I wonder if other people feel the same. I wonder if there's other people right now who have always worried about not having money coming in. All of a sudden, it's not there anymore. And they just go, the fear isn't there. They're scared. The impending doom, the feeling that it's all going to fall apart isn't there. And I don't know if you felt the same, but you obviously didn't seem to feel that sort of feeling. You just went, all right, what's next?
I actually felt very demoralized at first, but I think that it was like all of it combined. So the fact that I couldn't move without being in pain, I couldn't even lie down or do anything without being in pain, has a massive effect on your mental health. So in that sense, I can understand why I felt how I felt, a little bit helpless, a little bit pathetic sometimes, but then my mind is very focused on something. And when I put my mind to something and go for it, I've got a result. I've never been one to sit back and be like, I'm going to wait and let fate take over. Like, I've always just been one to sort of start making moves. And then if it works, if people like it, if whatever, if I get a good response, and I carry on. And with me, it's like I've never only ever done one thing. And I think that it's almost like the best thing to ever happen to me is to have a variety of like skills and experience. My parents are self-employed. They've always had this sort of like concept that you can always make things work for you on your terms, but you've got to find that thing that gets you up every day to do the thing that makes you money, that keeps you happy, and all of that. So I think it's partly to do with my parents' influence, even though they've always said to me, get a job working for somebody else, it's easier, they do all the crap stuff, and then you just get to come do your bit and leave at the end of the day. And if things don't work out for you, you can always leave and get into another job. My problem at this point with the slip disc was that my morale was low. I was applying for jobs, but I wasn't getting callbacks. And that is something I wasn't used to, because from graduating university, I got into a job. From that job, I got headhunted for another job. And after that, I thought, right, I'm going to be able to get any job that I want. after the job that I was headhunted for, I was there for 4 years. I decided to leave, and I got straight into another job that actually offered me a great like package deal. And I was like, you know what, this is just the thing. Like, I am employable, and I had this idea in my head that I was really employable because I was hardworking, I had a good portfolio, like I had a good attitude. But when I wasn't getting those callbacks, and I was speaking to like recruitment agents and they weren't finding me anything, I was getting really frustrated, and I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it on my own. Like, I can't depend on other people to find my happiness. So I started working, and that is what it took. It took some real like gritty determination to actually get over so many, like I had so many blocks in my head, and I ended up making things work kind of for me, but it's not all me. Like, I've been really fortunate that I'm very alone in what I do in the UK, and I'm kind of the only one of my kind of in the world, and TV companies see that and think cash cow. And so I'll get the phone calls like from these TV companies, and it's encouraging. It makes you feel like you've got something, like I've got something, but I don't want that to also be my undoing. So I've been very careful as to like how I present myself and things like that, because I think it's really important that people buy into you as a person and not just a freak. So yeah.
What do you? Well, to be fair, in terms of the feeling like motivated to go and find your own happiness again, a lot of people don't get the chance to ever experience that sort of moment where they go, well, you know, I've always wanted to do this, and have that chance to do it. And I think the silver lining of coronavirus is a lot of people have found that passion, and they found the time to try something, and they're doing things like you said before. They're doing things because they want to, and it doesn't feel like work. There's a reason why it's 7 o'clock at night and I'm sat in the kitchen in front of a green screen chatting to Leah, and there's a reason why you're taking the same time to sit and talk to me. Is because we both have a passion. We both enjoy sharing that passion with others. And I think once you find that, it never feels like work. I know I'll spend all of Saturday editing this video, and it'll probably take...
Oh my God, like the amount of weekends I've worked.
Do you edit your own stuff as well?
Yeah, I do everything. Yeah, everything. And respond to comments, and it takes a lot of time. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of energy. And when you get the response back, it makes it all worthwhile. When you start getting paid what you feel like all the work is deserving of, then it feels very worthwhile. So it's worth sticking to it. What I'd say about coronavirus is that it has forced families to spend more time together, because I've definitely spent more time with my parents over the last 2 months than I have done in the last 2 years. And that has been obviously the best thing ever. It has also made me appreciate freedom, having freedom, and knowing that I can pretty much go anywhere at the drop of a hat. Also made me really appreciate travel, and like how it's such a massive part of my job and my life is that I love culture. And when you are blocked off from that, it's really hard to take. And then also exactly what you said. So it's forced so many people to start thinking outside their own box. It is so easy to get stuck in a rut, whether that be in a job, in a relationship, or in a really negative, toxic relationship, whether it be with your family or be with a person or be with yourself. It has forced you to either find a hobby, find a new job, find a new outlet, start a podcast, put more energy into your Instagram account, express yourself creatively in some way or another, be more creative about the job that you do, because content creators have had to think well outside their own box, especially if they're travel content creators. Suddenly they're doing everything from home. So I've seen a lot of inspiration from people that have just started separating themselves from what they've known and learning something new, and it's so healthy. Like, that is like the basis of great mental health. It is noticing what the problem is, addressing it, and finding something to sort of cure that symptom. And unhappiness has probably surfaced quite a lot, and people decide to think, okay, well, maybe walking's gonna help, and it does. Voila, suddenly you found your new outlet, and it's just like, it's all up from here for sure.
I found a new stress. I've been trying to learn guitar. It's doing my head in. Right? I'm never going to give up.
Me and the piano. Like, I've been on my keyboard learning songs that I learned from years ago, and I'm like, I can't even remember my left hand. Like my right hand's like perfect, my left hand's just not there. It's so frustrating. But again, get your focus on something that's not to do with work, and you just separate your stresses completely.
What's next then, anyway? So I guess, well, I can tell roughly where you're going, but I mean, where do you see yourself going in the next 12 months? Well, probably out the house for a start. Now you're allowed out.
Oh, that'd be nice. Where
But
do you see me going, out of curiosity?
I think you're going to do very well. I think that this, because I obviously said before, I can see it is a business and I can see it growing, and I can see you inspiring potentially others to follow in your footsteps. And as a result of that, it's your job to nurture that talent. It will be talent coming through, and people that have never considered doing something before. And I can imagine, I don't know, I can see you sort of being in a position where you're helping other people to maybe follow that sort of same path, and you're becoming more of an educator more than a doer. I'm not saying you're going to set up the Shut Eater Academy of burgers and wings. But I personally see that's the way it's going to go, and I think that your YouTube's going to continue to grow massively. And I don't know if you're going to, maybe you won't keep doing that same sort of content. Maybe you'll go into something else soon. But I see that's my personal opinion, because I watch quite a lot of. I don't know why I've been looking to have a lot of friends and contacts in the past that I've watched their journeys, and I've seen them all doing different things, and yeah, I find it interesting. But that's kind of how I see you going. I might be completely wrong. You might be like, I'm going to be a police officer, but I don't know.
So, funnily enough, about a year ago, I reapplied to be a police officer, and I actually got down to being like recruited and getting my start date, which was supposed to be in April.
Yeah.
And I turned it down because I was contacted about several TV shows and things abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think that I need to make the most of what I can do now, being the age that I am now. And while it's still cute or deemed as cute to do what I do, I don't really want to be a married mum of two still doing competitive eating videos. I definitely want to sort of evolve whatever it is that I'm doing at the moment. And what the big goal, the big plan, without giving too much away, is, well, my first big thing was like, I would really like a travel show, but I'd like to be the woman versus food. I would like to be the girl versus food, like the female version of man v food. I think that it would just be the greatest job, even if it were for just like a couple seasons. Like Eddie Hall had his Eddie to America, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want the opportunity to do that, to like present a show, and it'd be awesome. And then I think from that, I would love to go into like food critique, and do like food reviews and restaurant reviews, and like almost like a virtual TripAdvisor, because unlike a normal influencer, foodie influencer that will go and order one dish, I can order the entire menu, eat it all, write about it all, experience, chefs, like service times, etc. I think that it would be a really great outlet to sort of separate what I do and kind of mature it a little bit. I would also like to have a disgustingly big catalogue of world records. Like, I want to get in the book this year. So I'm pressing them. I'm like, how many do I need to get? I want to get in the book. I want to be in the book. So that's the goal.
I think the book is the thing, isn't it? Because it's one of the only books that people still actually like to have and read through and flick through.
Every single Christmas, my ex-bosses used to buy their kids the Guinness World Records book. So when they knew that I got a Guinness World Record, my first one was in like 2018, I think. They were like, are you in the book? Because we're going to buy it at Christmas. And unfortunately, for the last 2 years that I've had my record, I haven't been in there. So I'm hoping at the end of this pandemic, I'm going to be in the Guinness World Record book. I'm praying.
I think what I said about you're going to find that you're going to get a lot of young people, because don't forget, kids read them books. Yeah. And they get inspired, they get ideas. Because that's when I was a kid, I was like, I want to be a police officer. Because I used to watch The Bill. Yeah. And I think I remember those books. I remember reading about the tallest man, and he was like in India or something. And then there was like, I remember them. And I think you're going to naturally find people who reach out to you, and you're going to be in essentially a role model position. And then and I always say to people, it's your I'm always like, it's your responsibility to help the next guy, to help the kids, inspire them, because it is, morally it is. Because when you were doing it, no one was supporting you, because it's different.
Yeah,
and because you're the only person that's in that space now, you're the one they're going to look to. And yeah.
Is it unfortunate, and is it a shame that I wouldn't recommend anybody take this on as a profession? Because as much as it is fun, it's got its place for sure. Like, it's so taxing and it's so difficult to sort of maintain that, like, the idea behind it would be like, if a girl wants to take over what I'm doing, which I'm fully in support of, I'd be like, get your fitness down first, get in a gym, bodybuild, like get on the weights, do all that stuff, because your body will work at a much higher rate. And you, as a female, like, you have so many insecurities and so many things about yourself that is so controlled by your weight and your image and all of these things, that being in the public eye doing what you're doing, it's almost like you're contradicting yourself. Like, women struggle to go on dates and order anything but a salad, as for the judgment of what the man would think or what people would think of them. Suddenly they're on camera shoving food in their face, trying to both be like a graceful female and everything else.
What if that's not the footsteps? They don't want to be an eater. They want to know how to be as confident as someone like you and be able to be a female who's comfortable in her own body. That's my point. You don't know what it's going to be.
No, I get you. Like motivational speaking.
Not even that. Maybe. You know what you said before about, when you get paid, it feels like it's working out, it's all worthwhile, and that all the hours of effort.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't get paid for putting out content and creating, having conversations and sparking debates and things about business. But what does motivate me is occasionally someone will message me on LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, especially after university talks and things. They'll message me on Instagram, and they'll never be confident enough to say it in a public forum and in front of other people, but they'll come to you and say, I'm really glad that I came across you, or what you said today, or things that you've done resonate with me. And it feels like I heard this quote, right? And I listen to it when I'm working out, and it's in this weird motivation playlist, but it says something like, people you don't know they exist, you might not know who they are, but those people align themselves with you, and you don't know it yet, but they need you to rise so they can rise. Yeah. You need to lead the way, and you'll never know who they are, but one day they'll come to you out of nowhere and they'll say, I had one on LinkedIn the other day, and the guy said, I really wish I had as much confidence as you to just be myself in my workplace. Yeah. Every day I feel like I'm putting on a mask. Yeah. But they need me to be me, because if I can be me, they can be them. With you, you're just being unapologetically you. You're just doing something completely different, and it's against what everyone else gets told to do. Everyone else gets told, and it's really old way of working, look pretty, be a girl, do this, do that, and you're not doing that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're ugly.
I think that is like the main thing, and I don't know if you can see the bottom of this print, but this is like a magazine cover that I designed, and it says breaking molds on the bottom of it.
Can't see the bottom, I can just see up to where it says fast. Breaks molds and world records.
Yeah, so it says rebel on the top, because it's almost like a rebellious way of living. So you live rebelliously, but for the best intentions. So I've always broken molds for whatever reason, the way that I looked, the way that I spoke. I was such a good kid at school. I was so good. I look back now and I'm like, I was like the teacher's pet, but then I was charismatic because I was very, very unfanciable, and I had to sort of make up for that by being like a cool girl. So I was a bit of a tomboy, and I loved sports and things like that. And I was very, very bullied, and I think that kind of grew this attitude. But again, my confidence was on the floor. Now, I saw my ambition in how I wanted to be from other women I used to look up to. And I actually wanted to be that woman that I looked at for inspiration, to be better and feel better and all that. I never thought that after years of trying to conform, actually, when I went the other way and I'm like, okay, let's anti-conform, that it was going to work out in my favor. I did it, but I didn't foresee that that was going to be the case. I just thought, right, if I'm going to be weird, I may as well be weird and really weird with it. And if I'm going to be really weird, I need to be really good at being really, really weird. So I just decided, right, if you do things unapologetically, people cannot second guess you. They will believe everything that you say. They'll believe everything that you are. They will take you for whatever it is that you offer, and they won't want for anything else. So when I do things wholeheartedly. I throw myself into them. And if anybody doesn't like it, it's like, this is just me. I'm just being me, wholly, everything. And if it's not for you, it is not for you. But this is just what it is. And I think presenting yourself in that way is risky. I think you suffer a lot of heartache. I think you suffer a lot of failures, but every failure is a lesson, and every lesson builds you both your mental resilience, both your actual like resilience in your mind. Just you get strong mind, strong opinions, and you start loving things that you actually get right in the end. But you definitely learn from your failures. I definitely learned from my failures.
I think that's a very nice note to almost end on. I ask one last question of everyone, and because you've hit on it a few times there, you might be interested in this one. If you go back to when you're 15 years old, and I say 15 because that is the point at which you're probably going into college, you're leaving school.
Yeah.
And at that point, you sort of feel like a grown up. And I'm thinking, what advice would you give yourself? If you can go back and tell yourself anything, what would you tell yourself at 15 years old that's going to help you along the way?
Oh gosh. Trust your gut, because my gut has always said, just try. And sometimes I'm like, oh, but I'm not sure. But then I just go for it. And then as soon as I've gone for it and I've seen whether it's worked or not, it's kind of set me on a new path. And so I guess just trust your gut, trust your instincts, because that's gold. Invaluable.
If anyone wants to reach out to you or get hold of you, how can they even get hold of you? Because I mean, just messaging you on Instagram or YouTube.
I am one of those people where I do have to spell my name, but my name is Leah Shutkever, Shutkever, and you can pretty much Google me. I'm the only one in the world, and I will just come up, and so come along and say hey.
That annoys me, right? On a quick side note, because there's a law firm in London called Lewis, Ellis and Partners, and they have held the #1 spot on Google for years. I've tried everything, and they've got a terrible website. And I even emailed them the other day. I said, "Look, your website's terrible. At least let me make it good, because that I can say Lewis Ellis fixed Lewis Ellis." Oh, I was so angry, and I still can't get rid of it. So
see, my identity has never been like trodden on, and I've always felt like it was counterproductive to my life to have this really bizarre last name. But it has been the best thing to happen. It's like, my name is Leah Shutkever. You're not going to forget it in a rush. I just always, everything about it has just been individualistic. And now with social media, it's like, it's the most perfect thing in the world. I just have to spell it and people just remember it. And I'm like, brilliant. Think Shakira, it's kind of like that. And I just
well,
yeah.
I'd say thank you very much for deciding to take part today.
No, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.